Who is controlling and supervising HR? Do business leaders and business owners know how bad their HR departments are and the damage that they cause to the business? And why are they HR professionals keep complaining on LinkedIn about their struggles? Let's talk about those topics, because these are the ones that I have been meaning to talk about for a long time. I wrote about these topics, but I haven't talked about them here on YouTube or on TikTok up until yesterday, when somebody sent me a message on LinkedIn showing a really bad HR practice here in the UAE. And I think it's time that we addressed the elephant in the room head on. Hi, I'm Sylvia, an organizational psychologist, and I talk about everything and anything related to HR. So, these two topics, if you are an employee, stay with me because you will see why HR is struggling. If you are a HR professional, stay with me because I really want you to see things differently. And I want you to move away from these poor practices. If you are a business owner, business leader, stay with me because your HR is probably running your company to the ground. And that's not what you hired them for, right? But you don't know what they are doing because nobody is supervising them. So I will tell you how to do it. But before that, let's go and start with HR struggle. I see more and more, you know me by now. One thing I can't stand is the victim mentality, is the complaining, the moaning, and the whining. I can't stand it. I never tolerated it. There are problems everywhere. What is the solution? Rather than just posting that nobody is valuing me, how hard it is for HR, etc., etc. But I keep seeing these on LinkedIn more and more often, and I just don't understand where it comes from. But well, I tell you where it comes from. Experts don't struggle. They don't find things hard. They don't find their jobs hard. And here I don't mean to go after HR. I just want to explain. And this is not related only to HR. In any areas of life and field, if you don't have the necessary skill, if you don't have the necessary knowledge, expertise, resources, structure, you will find things really, really hard. So my expertise within the HR structure is in talent management. Now, could I figure out reward and compensation and benefit? Yes, it would be a painful exercise because my knowledge is really basic, right? And I can run a payroll, but that's about it. But that's the admin job, right? So that's a very basic one. Our coordinators used to do that. But that's about it. So if I needed to do comp and ben, it would be very difficult and I would be complaining, oh my God, how hard it is. But when it comes to talent management, you can't give me anything because I get energized by the problems, the difficulties, the complexities of that. And if you give me a problem, I deploy all my expertise, knowledge, and everything that I have, including my research background. So I go out and I find solution even if I don't have it, and I will find this activity and exercise energizing because now I'm solving a problem that I'm really passionate and interested about. So when HR professionals are telling me that, nobody is listening, nobody is valuing us, nobody is seeing our value and how hard our life, because one day you run the payroll, the other day you are doing an investigation, the next minute you are doing, you are listening to a colleague telling some, personal struggles and stories, and now you need to deal with that. And therefore we need different psychological intervention because psychologists also have their therapists. Darlings, how many of these cases are you dealing every single month? Maybe one? Maybe two. I think you can manage those ones on your own. So you don't need to compare yourself to psychotherapists and psychologists who are really, and psychiatrists who are really listening, who listen to very serious problems of people constantly, 8 hours a day. And you do that, not that serious problems, people's relatives dies, all that. These are normal things. And it's not pleasant, I'm not saying it. But you don't need a very customized, specific well-being intervention to create it for HR. So I will never accept those ones. So going back to why they are struggling is because either they don't have the skill, the knowledge, the expertise, the structure, the tools that they need to do a good job, like we would all do if we were in that position. Now the good news is that HR, that's why we have HR structure, the specialized areas, right? Then you have comp and benefit, you have recruitment, attraction, learning and development, all these areas. And if you are in one of those, I never hear those people struggling. They get on with the job because they enjoy it. I know employment relation. Now, if I had to do employment relation, I would be struggling. But I know employment relation professionals, they are like so good in terms of the labor law, in terms of policies and practices and everything, and how to, the structure, that when they get a very tricky case, because they get difficult cases, oh my God, I would not like to do those ones. They get energized once again. They don't say, oh my God, nobody acknowledged it that I solved a very difficult case for the employee or for the company. No, for them it's normal. When we do a job, we don't write about it. That's normal. That's what you are being paid for. So we don't need to go around and, talk about it on LinkedIn that, hey, everybody please notice that I made a person redundant, that I handled a difficult employment tribunal. That's the job. Do you see plumbers going around and talking about how, the pipes they laid? Nobody. But here is the problem. So if we agree that experts don't complain, they find difficult or complexities thing, then we can also agree that, and then also that that's the reason we have specialized areas of HR, so we can stick those people into their relevant areas so they will not complain. Then we can also agree that that's not the case, and that's the reason behind HR struggles, because we got rid of experts and we appointed these HR roles, and these are all generic roles. And maybe these HR leaders are coming from one of these specialized areas, which they are really good at. Those are their expertise. But now they are supervising the specialists, which are no longer specialist functions, because we put we stopped all those specialist areas with generalists. So the jobs are not being done properly. Okay, that's why the employees are struggling as well, because you have incompetent people across HR functions dealing with specialized role with their generalist skill set and expertise. And that has a major impact on the business and on employees. And that has also a major impact on the head of the department, right? Because nobody knows what's supposed to be done. Of course, they will produce altogether collectively a very poor or average result, and employees are rejecting it. Business leaders are rejecting it, and that's why they say that HR doesn't give a value or doesn't provide any value. And business leaders, that's why most of the time they interfere in HR matters, because they don't trust HR anymore. I think intuitively we all know what is happening. We just don't want to change for whatever reason. Most of them mostly is cost cutting, because you put these generalist people in these specialized roles. You pay them half what they're supposed to get, and that's what you get. So I don't blame HR for that. But what I don't like is them crying, please see my value. What, the average value that you are providing? Is this what we're supposed to see? Because if you paid attention, nobody likes HR. Nobody wants to have anything to do with. Do a poll on LinkedIn. I did it. And if I go on social media, on TikTok, people will tell you immediately that, oh, we don't need HR. And when people keep telling you that we don't need you, then it's time to sit down and think, what the hell, where did we go wrong? What the hell are we doing? Right? Instead of crying on LinkedIn that nobody is seeing our value. Maybe because you remember, value is perceived by the user, not by the provider. So that's a basic. So we got rid of experts. We replaced everybody with generalists with zero expertise, zero knowledge, or just the average. And now everybody is struggling, and that's the reason. So maybe it's time to stop complaining and addressing these with the business leaders. Yeah, because dumbing down HR, it's not a solution to save cost, because you can do that, but the damage that they cause is major. And this is when I'm going to go to the second topic, which is, and I would like to talk to business leaders, business owners, founders, whoever. Do you actually know how bad your human resources are? Because I'm sure, do you actually follow social media posts, comments where employees are complaining about HR? Once again, I'm not coming after HR. They are put in this situation that is impossible, but I do blame them getting here, because you guys should have stood up 20 years ago when the direction started to change. But hey, we are here. There's no point of looking backwards. What can we do going forward? But business leaders, I'm coming back to you, because I can tell you that yesterday, LinkedIn, I received this message on LinkedIn. Somebody's asking me, hey, is it a common practice now here in the UAE that they're asking our last salary or pay slip as a proof of how much I earned in my previous company? And I said, no, don't do it. It's not, no. Now, anybody with a little piece of dignity, anybody with a little piece of, common sense would abandon the application process. So your HR people are actually, I don't know if you guys are aware of it, they make up these policies and procedures, because I have seen unqualified HR professionals. I know, especially here in the UAE, the PA of the manager running HR functions. Now, she doesn't have a clue what's supposed to be done, right? So they are collecting passports, they are asking these things. I know large companies where HR is, like, they have a proper HR structure. They talk about diversity and female empowerment and all that, 8th of March and all that. But when you go on their website, and that's my job, I apply to jobs, even waitress jobs, because I want to see what is the process, what are the messages. Some of them are super creative, and I actually steal their ideas. But I know these companies that they talk about women and all that, and then when you go apply to that job, they ask you, are you currently pregnant? Like, do you actually know the damage that these practices are doing to your company? Because this is where the first step, you are losing talent. The second step where you are losing talent is during the interview process. Now, if you pay attention just a little bit how broken the recruitment system is, then you know that your HR people are losing your talent, or losing talent for your company during recruitment, because of the inappropriate questions, because of the ghosting, because of the not getting back on time or to candidates, and so many, because of inappropriate behavior. I can tell you stories my friends are telling me, but I'm sure you listen to that his HR VP, she interviewed my friend. And my friend asked her, okay, so you've been working here for quite some time. Tell me, what is your favorite thing about this company? Why do you like working here? And she said, I'm the one who is interviewing. You don't get to ask questions. Now, I can tell you stories until the sun goes down about recruitment. Now, just know that this is how your HR people are behaving, losing talent. They are losing talent because the onboarding as such doesn't exist. So people exit the company very quickly. They are losing talent for you because management development is a mess. HR people, we have data that onboarding doesn't work, recruitment is a mess. We have data that training and development effort yield zero result, never mind financial result, but even just knowledge or behavior or any kind of competency related. We have data that, what was the latest one? Well-being obviously yields no result, but the latest one that I read that we have data that mental health workplace programs minus ROI, like zero use. So, and this is when you have to ask the question, what are the damage that your HR people are causing? But the greatest thing is that I would like to ask you, business leaders and owners, how do you control your HR? How do you know that they are doing these things? You don't, because nobody is measuring, controlling, and supervising HR. So I have an employee life cycle standards that we have developed, right? And when we implement these in companies, you can clearly measure every area of HR. And then these guys are actually the HR people. They, at first, they are very apprehensive because now we are going to have insight into what they do and what they are not doing, right? But then once you put we put these standards in, they go like, oh my God, thanks God, somebody is telling us what needs to be done. And somebody is measuring us. Remember, what you don't measure, it doesn't get done. So if I can recruit and ask and be inappropriate during my interview process with candidates, and nobody will ever find out because there is no measurement of me, I can get away with murder. I can ruin the reputation of your company. And you don't even have a clue. And you are trying to fix your engagement, your turnover. But maybe it's with this one person. Maybe it's with Sylvia, because Sylvia is the one who is blocking talent coming into the organization because she screws up every single interview. But we don't have the clue. We don't have the idea how attractive we are to talent because we don't measure it. We don't have the idea what is the candidate experience during the recruitment process. We don't know if the onboarding process is actually yielding result and equipping employees, new joiners within the 30 days with the skills and knowledge and behavior that they need to do the job. We don't have any of those. We don't measure learning and development. We don't have an idea how employees' experiences are when they are exiting the organization, because we know that the moment they're handing over their resignation letter, they are being treated rather poorly by the managers, by the leaders, and then sometimes even with HR. And I have seen that firsthand. But nobody is measuring HR, and they are the ones who are screwing up your company. Because it's in their hand to make sure that your company is attractive to people. It's in their hand to make sure that the recruitment process is welcoming and make people feel that I want to work for this company. Do you think that most recruitment processes make people feel that way? Because most of the time, from that boring question, from that inappropriate question, from being late for the interview, these are all off-putting. People don't want to have anything to do with it. It's just setting up your reputation. Their job is to look after your online reputation. Their job is to make sure that people are trained for the job that they are hired for, right? Their job is to make sure that people have the knowledge for the job that they are hired for. That it's in their hand to make sure that people are liked to be worked with. That's the behavioral competency, right? That we manage their performance, that managers are equipped to manage employees' performance, right? And I'm not talking about the annual appraisal saga and the nonsense activities, because they yield zero result. It's just wasting money. But once again, it comes back to HR competence, right? Nobody's asking, how these processes actually work? Do they yield any result, or we are just doing it? So, business leaders, HR professionals, can you please get together? Because HR is crying, they have the wrong structure, They don't have the knowledge, they don't have the skills, they don't have the expertise to run all these functions. And you business leaders are completely blind to what your HR people are doing. And they are the ones who are screwing up your company. And then they go online and they cry that nobody likes us. Well, and also business leaders, do you not pay attention to what employees are saying, not only in your organization, globally? Because it's a worldwide phenomenon, that nobody likes HR. So maybe it's time to ask the question, what the hell is happening? Because if maybe this is my company and nobody out there likes HR, I'm sure 99% that it's the same case in my company. And you as a business leader, you ought to ask the question, okay, why? But nobody knows what HR is doing. So when we implement these standards, not only head of HR has the insight into what these sub-functions are doing, so then they can tweak and fix problems, but also business leaders can see, okay, what the hell are you guys doing in here? Because these standards produce data and report and action, right? But without that, it's literally HR going and presenting. Last year, we have the 75% employee satisfaction. We have done 12 activities. We have filled the engagement calendar. Bullshit. Don't even get me started on that. And we delivered 10,000 hours of training. We spent 10 million on training budget. Okay, but what's the outcome of that? What's the outcome of that? And this is what we need to get HR to, not to be busy, but to produce some result. And it's down to the business leaders to do that, to force HR, hey, I don't want you to be busy. I want you to produce something, because employee satisfaction is 0. Everybody's unhappy. Nobody wants to work anymore. And it's not because of the job. It's because of the conditions. It's because when I show up for an interview and I'm not even offered a glass of water, the interviewer is late 20 minutes and I'm being made feel that it's a privilege to be there. Times have changed. Nobody wants this anymore. And I'm not even going to the flexible working hours, that's another matter. These are all the basics, the behavior of HR based on the level of competence. That's what I wanted to talk about today. So, start measuring, supervising, and controlling your HR, because you bloody don't have a clue what they are doing. And I'm telling you, they are the ones who are losing your talent. We blame the managers, we blame the leaders, but you know what? It's actually in the hands of HR, because HR's role is to create a structure where managers, supervisors, and leaders can do their job in a way and employees, feel motivated in a way that is producing result for the company. But when we have structure that is just, standing on shaky legs, and in most companies you don't even have structure, or when HR professionals take the liberty of coming up with, oh, send me your salary pay slip, or I'm gonna keep your passport, or are you pregnant, or are you, all the inappropriate things, or we're going to, get you this promotion, but 2 years later still don't have, because HR cannot deal with confrontation. They cannot deliver a message that, hey, lovely, you're very good in this role, but you're never going to progress with us because you don't have what it takes based on our observation. So they are ruining employees' experiences every step of the way, and nobody is there to measure it. Nobody is there to see it. And I think we are blaming the managers, and I'm not excusing managers, but I also give them the excuse, because if they had a strong HR department that supports manager in terms of managing, leading, and guiding people how to do that in a simplified version, that's the job of HR. I always explained it this way to HR. Your job is like the government. I'm not saying governments are perfect, but Government's job is to create a structure where everybody is taken care of. Everybody has their freedom. Everybody is, looked after one way or another. So you don't fall through the cracks and the social net. Is this even a word? And HR's role is pretty much the same. Your job is not go around, because I see that from HR people, and then, oh, how are you, chit-chatting. You do that if you want to, but that's not the job. Your job is to build a massive structure that supports everybody within this organization. And you don't have that. What's more, not only that you don't have the structure, or even if you have, you are the one you are the perpetrator. You are the first one letting down the company's reputation when you receive when employees or candidates are submitting their application, because you don't even bother replying, and then you come up with the next excuse, but we are so busy. Can you not close the bloody open we don't accept any more application button? When you are busy, it's because you are doing something really wrong. You did not sit down and ask yourself the question, how can I make this easier, because this is not manageable? But no, you just go with the flow. And why? Because companies decided to cut costs, hire average people with no competence for the particular job that they are doing, and that's the result. So, who is to blame? Well, business leaders. But you know what? Both of them. Get together and start working together for the greater good, because that's the only way to fix your companies, including your employees' experiences, because it's not in HR's hand, okay? Only. So, I hope that helped.